Okay, I got my pipe. Time to find a blend. I think I'm leaning towards an English. Kinda early in the morning for an English, though. Too bad they don't make something for just such an emergency. Oh, ha! Wait! Here it is! Here we go again. Good afternoon, friends and neighbors. This is your good buddy Bulldawg coming back at you, live and uncut from the Burn Studios here in the wilds of upstate New York. Today's blend needs no introduction. It's the stuff of legend. A Dunhill masterpiece. The ultimate morning English. Everybody loves this stuff. It's the best. In the interest of brutal honesty, I may offend a mess load of EMP disciples here today. Just want to give that disclaimer. But keep in mind that my tastes are very subjective, just like anybody else's. And this is my experience, not yours. Your mileage may vary. I give this disclaimer because I've had a history with this blend that we're talking about. What blend is it? Early morning pipe. Yeah. Love that tin art. The tin art's fantastic. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Okay, let me back things up a little bit here. When I started with the pipe, I started off when I was like 19-ish, and I kind of gravitated towards the McClellan blends, the aromatics in specific. And but after a while, I didn't have a mentor. I said this in a past video. I didn't have a mentor, and so I didn't really continue in the pipe hobby for too terribly long, maybe a year or two, and then I kind of gravitated towards cigars for a while. Well, when I came back to the pipe, I wanted to look into what different blends there were out there. So I was doing some research, and there was this thing called the interweb where I was able to actually conduct said research. And it seemed like an awful lot of people were talking about early morning pipe. Early morning pipe, early morning pipe, early morning pipe. Absolute gold, the best morning blend ever. So I decided to go for it. I bought myself a tin. I smoked some of it, and after several bowls, I realized it's really not for me. I really wanted to like it. I really wanted it to be my go-to for the morning, just because everybody else liked it. I wanted to be one of the cool kids, just like you. Unfortunately, I didn't have the greatest experience. I found it a bit harsh, which a lot of people think is really strange. It was a bit harsh, and it actually irritated the back of my throat. Not just on one bowl, but several bowls into the tin, it was like that. And it was not a pleasant experience. Likewise, something else I did not care for with it is the fact that it didn't seem like it had a whole lot of flavor for me. That being said, I'm trying to go into this. I've been dreading this. I'm going to be honest with you. I've been dreading this because I don't want to offend people, but I'm not going to lie. I'm going to share my experience with you as it is. And that's why I've been dreading it. I don't want to offend people. However, if I do, that's just going to have to be. So anyway, I'm trying to go into this as objectively as possible, even though I have that history. I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. You'll see that a little bit later. All right, so let's talk about it. This is Early Morning Pipe. It is blended by Peterson. It is formerly a Dunhill blend. And Dunhill had a hierarchy of the Latakia blends there, where the lightest one was the Early Morning Pipe. Medium in this holy trinity, if you will, was My Mixter 965. And the heaviest Latakia blend was Nightcap. And so that's how that was set up. This is now produced by the Scandinavian Tobacco Group in Denmark. And as far as I know, it only comes in the 50-gram tins. It's only available in these tins. I do believe back in the day, I saw some places that did offer it in bulk, which is pretty cool if you ask me. Just having the Peterson blends or any of these blends, anything in bulk is fantastic. I'm a big, strong advocate of bulk blends. All right, so let's get back to this. This is in English, and the blending components in it are Virginia, Latakia, and some Oriental Turkish. Toppings, there are none. All right, let's take a look here. The tin says, a mellow and delicately flavored smoking blend with Orient tobaccos and light and red Virginias. First pressed and then gently roasted with parts of Latakia. Medium cut English mixture. There it is. So, how does it come? It comes in a ribbon cut. Let me show you. It looks delightful. It's got all those different components in there. All three or four of those components, if you count the two different kinds of Virginias. The moisture, I'd say, is bullseye, because it doesn't really clump together. Like it'll go together and then falls apart. So it's right about there. When I first had it in the jar, out of the tin, it seemed like it was a little damp to me, but now, giving it that pinch test, it's really exactly where it needs to be. So let's see. Let's look into the tin note or the pan note. Before I do that, let me back it up a little bit here. I said that I am trying to give this the benefit of the doubt. What I did was I did take it out of the tin. This isn't fresh out of the tin. I did put it into the jar for 2 weeks, so that way it gets to aerate a little bit. And also the pipe I'm using is one of my best English smokers. So I really want to try to be objective again. And maybe it was just me early on not liking it. So gonna give it a try here, folks. So let's get back to this pan note, tin note, jar note. Okay, so it's got the Latakia, but it's light Latakia. Light Latakia. Okay. That was just weird, sorry. I'm having a little bit of difficulty here. It's hard to identify the individual components, from the smell standpoint. To me, that's a sign of good blending. When you have something that's like just a real homogeneous mixture like that, and it's really hard to pick out those blend components, you usually have something pretty damn good. So for the lack of being able to identify the individual components, let me describe it to you as a whole. Now, I've heard Bradley from Stuff and Things say before that there were some blends, I don't remember which blends they were, or blends, but he described something as being sharing the same characteristic smell of like the vinyl they use for Band-Aids. I remember as a little kid, I loved that smell. Absolutely loved it. And it sounds odd to like liken a blend to that, but I can't help but notice that it's got a bit of that character to it. It's also got a like a salty, savory, briny kind of smell to it that's really, really hard to describe. It's really interesting, actually. I'm glad I came back to this so far. All right, so the pipe that I was that I'm talking about is just a little POS basket pipe, but the thing smokes like a champ. It smokes Englishes wonderfully. It is a GBD rock root. Nothing fancy. I think I got it for like 30 bucks off of eBay. It's a little beater, but look at the size. You know, look how short it is, and look how wide that bowl is. That's I mean, my finger next to it. It's huge. So what it does is it gives a lot of real estate there. So there's all the components can actually be represented on this wide surface. And that way I can really let it open up and really take it in. So like I said, folks, I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt here. I really want the best from it. All right. Light them up. If I can. All right. Unlike the smell in that tin note, I can kind of discern some of the blend components here. The Virginias present themselves right up front. You get a little sweetness. You get the Latakia, just a little bit. It's really very light. I'm trying to identify like any specific Virginia characteristics, like whether they're grassy or, citrus or. I'm not getting a whole lot of either of those, but I can definitely detect the Virginias in there. You know, the specific Virginia flavor. Maybe a little bready. I think that's what it is. I think it's breadiness as opposed to anything else. The Orientals, they may add a little sourness to this, just a touch. Like I said, it's really quite homogeneous. You really have to. I mean, on initial light, they really come forward with the Virginia and the Latakia. And the Oriental is just kind of blending in with the other two. Not much of an aftertaste. Take a sip of my coffee here. Wet my whistle. Okay, that freshened it up a bit for me. Yeah, I'm kind of enjoying the Virginias here, playing with the Latakia. Virginias are ahead of the Latakia so far. I'm not getting the irritation in the back of the throat that I'd gotten before. This is a pleasant surprise. No chance of tongue bite with this one. It's a nice, cool, burning blend. Vitamin N on this is, I would say, fairly mild. It's got decent average smoke output. The flavor is fairly mild. Like, I enjoy the Virginia, Latakia, well, all the components together. I enjoy the flavor that's coming out. But it disappears almost immediately. It's like you taste it during the puff, and then it's gone. That may be suitable for people who are smoking it in the morning. I could see that. Someone who doesn't want anything heavy, but you're talking to a guy who likes to smoke pirate cake in the morning sometimes with his coffee. I would imagine that the cellaring potential would be pretty good with this, being that it has, you know, those Virginias in it. I guess there wouldn't be any reason that it wouldn't do well aging. Yeah, it's a very mild flavor during the puff. And then it's gone, like, almost immediately. All right, so not bad. Not bad. It was not the horrible experience that I had back in the day with it. Not horrible, but just not enjoyable experience. I still kind of stand in the same frame of mind, though. It's a classic. It's definitely a classic. I'm not going to deny it that. And I can see how back in the day, this was considered out of this world. That being said, there are so many Englishes out there today that are being put out by so many different blenders, and so many blends that have, they achieve this, they fill the same niche as far as having the light latakia for the morning, but they tend to have a lot more flavor to them, and I find I have that preference. So one that comes to mind would be Chelsea Morning, GLP's Chelsea Morning. That to me is an outstanding morning blend. Again, subjective. That's me. That's my opinion. I'm sure a lot of you are like, how could he possibly talk down EMP? Well, it's because it's lacking the flavor that I personally am looking for. If you want something mild, very, very mild to go with your morning coffee, let her rip, Tater Chip. But yeah, it's just not my thing. On a recommendation scale, from 1 to 10, 1 being, you know, absolute garbage, to 10 being like the greatest blend I've ever smoked, I'm going to have to put this at about a 5.5, and that's only because, I mean, consider this, you know, that is a classic, so I do recommend you try it, give it a shot, you know, and make up your own mind about it. Chances are you won't have the same experience as I do, because most people really gravitate towards this blend. It's extremely popular, okay? But with my tastes, it just does not fit the bill. It doesn't have enough flavor for me coming through. And for me, life's too short to not have flavorful tobacco. For those of you who I offended, I'm very, very sorry, but yeah, it's still not one of my favorites. All right, guys, so this is Bulldawg. Thank you so much for joining me here at The Burn, and I'll see you next time.